Trevor Kavanagh, political columnist and politics guru at The Sun newspaper. Trevor, I'm going to start with you. I mean, you know, never rains but it pours for Rishi Sunak. And what is wrong with them in the Conservative Party that they think this in any way is going to help them?
Well, it's not going to help them. It's not going to happen either. I mean, Simon Clarke put forward a very cogent argument in the Telegraph, which seems to have it in for Rishi Sunak big time. It seems to be the vehicle of discontent for the Tory party. So the thing is, A, it would be disastrous. B, none of the likely candidates want an election for leadership this side of a general election. So it isn't going to happen, but it is doing enormous damage in the process.
Sir Simon Clarke, I mean, what is his stake in all this? It's quite a sort of significant step for a former Deputy Treasury Minister, you know, former colleague of Sunak, to actually write this piece essentially saying he's useless, and if we carry on with him into the next election, we face annihilation of the Conservative Party. Really serious charges. So what is Sir Simon Clarke's game? I mean, do we have, if not vocal, a lot of private supporters of where he stands among the ranks of the Tories?
Yes, I think he speaks for a sizable chunk of the party, particularly those who are supporters of Boris Johnson, and indeed some of those who voted for Liz Truss. So it is a sizable chunk, but none of them know who they want to take over as leader, at least right now. Who are the candidates? The three women candidates, Penny Mordaunt, Kemi Badenoch and Suella Braverman. They seem to be the front runners at the moment. I'm sure there'll be others, not least James Cleverly. But none of them want to take over. It would be an appalling job to take on now, this side of a general election. I think all of them are waiting now for the wreckage to be cleared so that they can step in as clean hands to put the party back on its feet. If you have a second, I think that it was also interesting in terms of the Prime Minister's question time. You had a clip there of Keir Starmer, who in normal circumstances, in other circumstances, would have been under scrutiny for the plodding recitation of the script that he carefully prepared. Not very interesting script, very poorly written, and he stuck to it like glue. I think that he's a most uninspiring alternative to Rishi Sunak, but he's getting away with it, and I think this is the biggest crime that the Tories are committing, which is to give him basically a clean run.
Can I just point out something that really got my goat then? So while these two straw men were fighting each other across the dispatch box today, you know, Starmer said, oh, you're useless, nobody supports you and your policies are hopeless. And then Sunak came back, yeah, well, he can talk, you know, he hasn't done this, he doesn't support his country, he doesn't know what a woman is. For at least 6 months, nor did Rishi Sunak. So what I'm saying is, if Sunak had some resolve about any of the things he thinks, perhaps he'd be in a better state. And actually, we can confirm this by listening to Rishi, also confused about what a woman is. Let's take it away, Prime Minister.
Rishi Sunak, what is a woman?
Well, I thought the Prime Minister answered this brilliantly in Prime Minister's Question Times, in Prime Minister's Questions this week, and I fully agree with him.
And so what is your definition of a woman?
As I said, I would exactly agree with what the Prime Minister said at Prime Minister's Question Time. I thought he answered the question very well.
An adult human female?
Sorry, Julia, as I said, I thought the Prime Minister answered the question brilliantly. And
he thought he answered it brilliantly. So what were the words that he said that you agree with, Chancellor?
Well, I think if you look at the full thing that he said on Wednesday, he answered the question brilliantly, and I would agree with every word that he said.
We're not going to get a proper answer from you, are we?
I think usually looking at the full thing is a way to tell the difference between a man and a woman.
So how dare he, Trevor? How dare he have a go at Starmer? Far be it from me to support Starmer, but how dare he go, you don't know what a woman is, nor did he.
Not very impressive, was it?
No.
Julia can be very cruel once you've got her teeth into something. And she was absolutely spot on there. He was caught floundering on that. I mean, this is still, though, an issue. I think the culture wars and the fact that Starmer has now openly advocated more woke, not less, when he becomes Prime Minister, which I think is now nailed on. This is rather worrying that he is standing up for the civil service bureaucrats, the state dictators who are telling us how to run our lives. Forgetting about Rishi's fumbling at the moment, I think we are now looking at the next government of Britain, and it's a very alarming prospect. I think that we should be looking very closely at the Labour Party, not least at some of its backbenchers, and you will have noted the way that the Labour MP Tahir Ali launched into Rishi Sunak for having blood on his hands over Gaza. Now, I think that this is one of the very few times when Rishi's actually scored a bullseye when he replied and said, that is the changed face of the Labour Party.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, the Labour Party getting away without any scrutiny whatsoever. But it's interesting, this organisation that has been putting a few things in the press, a few polls, so on and so forth, which haven't been giving Rishi Sunak a very easy time, a rather shadowy big organisation. I think they call themselves the Conservative Britain Alliance or something like that. What little birdie tells me, Trevor, that this might be one Lord Ashcroft without much to do, sitting in the sunshine in Belize, of course, with YouGov at his fingertips, who has decided, having written a book about her, that he rather favours Kemi Badenoch to be the next leader, and that this might all be putting pieces in place to try and orchestrate that happening. It does strike me, at least, that if they were going to change leader, then it isn't a bad pick.
No, I mean, your suspicions about Lord Ashcroft are pretty well founded. I think you could be suspicious about Lord Ashcroft on almost any front. He's one of those shadowy creatures who is always plotting something. But when it comes to the next leader, I think that Kemi Badenoch will be one of the favourite front runners. And I think that he, on that particular count, is pretty well spot on. I'm not sure that she will win it. There's a lot of hurdles to clear. But she's playing a very careful and quite clever and sophisticated game of letting it be known where she stands without putting her head above the parapet too much.
Fascinating stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Trevor.